Hi guys. Um, welcome to vacation edition of Harry and His Horse. I forget the title of the book. Ah, The Horse in Harry's Room. We're going to pick up right away so I don't waste time on the video. This is the page where we left off. I want you to remember we talked about different languages and the problems that kids have if one first language is not fully developed. So we're trying to focus, we're kind of focusing on working to develop the ASL first and then moving from the ASL to the English word for word for word. So the first part of this project is really focused on the ASL and just telling the story and not worrying too much about matching the words exactly. I think that's helpful for families too because it kind of frees you from worrying about, oh, what's the sign for that word? It's more about showing the pictures. You can act out big however you want right now just to make sure that the ideas are clear. So for that page again, the English says, "Oh, it's great to have a horse," said Harry. "I hope I will always have him. I hope he will always stay." The way I would sign that is I would sign Harry, and I set him up in space. Harry, he said, "Wow," or "Oh, it's great to have a horse." You would sign have horse enjoy. It means having a horse that experience is enjoyable. Okay, so again, we'd sign Harry, and then he says, you see my super frown face, because I enjoyed it. Okay, then the next thing he says, "I hope I will always have him." We're going to sign I hope. We're going to sign keep forever. Okay, and that's like a Y hand that stretches out. I hope keep. And then the next line would be, I hope will stay. That Y again. Both hands side by side. My right hand, because I'm right-handed, presses down. And then again, you can do that Y hand out forever. So altogether, that would be Harry sorry, keep, and you can sign forever or keep will. That's also okay, but we'll say keep forever, that Y hand that I showed you. Okay. Forever also. Not perfect. Again, ASL is not my first language. So, it's like I'm trying to teach Spanish to someone and I'm not perfectly fluent in Spanish myself, but I understand some of the rules, some of the ways to make pictures more clear for deaf kids using ASL. So hopefully I'm good enough. We'll see. Next page says, oops, I can turn it so you can see it. His mother looked into Harry's room to see what he was doing. She did not see the horse. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, Mom, she was curious. You actually have to pinch your skin. Curious what he's doing. So she knocked on the door. She opened the door. She looked inside. Okay. Curious, what is he doing? Did she see the horse? Nothing, or nothing, or nothing. There's several different ways to do nothing. So again, you're going to say, Mom, curious what he's doing. So she walks up to the door. She knocks on the door. The door opens. She looks inside, all around. You sign, see horse? Nothing. Okay, you can sign none, nothing, or one motion, none, like none or nothing. Just whatever works best. You ask Josh which one he likes best. So last time for that one, okay? Mom, curious, kind of grabbing here, these 3 fingers are out, what he's doing. I didn't really show that very well. It's like the D for the alphabet and the index fingers come up to touch. A few times it means what doing, what doing. Another curious, what doing. So this is the classifier for a person. She walks up. Here's the door. She knocks on it. And the door opens. And then you don't even show like she came in or her head poked in. You don't have to. Just show, lean forward, and facial expression. She's looking around. She's curious what's going on. Okay. Did she see the horse? No. And that's a real common use of ASL. They call it a rhetorical. So they'll set up things and they'll ask a question and then immediately negate it, or ask a question immediately affirm it. So that's what they're doing. Did she see the horse? No. It means the same thing as she did not see it. Okay, next page. Same deal with dad. This is a really easy one because we know mom already. So same thing. Instead of mom, now we'll do dad instead. Dad was curious what they're doing. So he came up. He knocked on the door. Opened the door. He looked inside. Did he see the horse? Nope, no horse. The next page says, "Giddy up," they heard him say when he wanted his horse to go. A little tricky. I practiced this yesterday. Hopefully I can remember. I was like, mom and dad, okay, when they're talking about they, when you're reading to a deaf kid, you have to make some of these things extra clear. So they may not be clear otherwise. You're going to say mom and dad. They were listening. They heard Harry say, "Giddy up," and actually spell it, okay? Mom, dad heard Harry say, "Giddy up." And then you might actually, this is one of those opportunities, like through the shared reading project, to really explain what that means. Because if you spell giddy up, a deaf kid doesn't know what giddy up means. So you sign means. You want him to go. Want, go. Okay. So, again, mom, dad, they heard Harry. And then you could sign why. He wanted the horse to go. The horse to go. So I think that's pretty much right, and then that ties into the next page. So let's focus on those 2 pages just a little bit more. So again, mom, dad. You could add to this little sign. It's like a K from the alphabet. When you do side to side, it means the 2 of them. So we set up mom and dad. We're going to say the 2 of them are over here in this 3D space. Okay, mom, dad, the 2 of them. They were listening. They heard him say, Harry. I signed Harry and pointed. They heard him say, "Giddy up." Yeah. Okay, why? He wanted his horse to go. One more time, slow. Mom, dad, the 2 of them, listening. He said, okay. The next page is very similar. Whoa, they heard him say when he wanted his horse to stop. I would set it up the same way because that repetition is really good. Mom, dad, the 2 of them listening. Harry, he said. Okay, so you kind of watched it through one time. Let me try to, I'll put my voice with it a little more. I know I'm real inconsistent in teaching this. This is not my greatest strength. I'll do whatever I can to help. So again, we'll set up the same way. Mom and dad, the 2 of them, they're still listening. And then, sometimes I'll use my left hand to point rather than using this hand for everything. It's okay to use this hand too. So mom, dad, the 2 of them, they're listening to him, I can sign both these signs at the same time if I want to be really cool. Sorry, my finger's probably not great. W-H-O-A. Whoa. Means what? Whoa. Why? Harry, again, I keep pointing the same direction for Harry. If I point over here now, he's going to be confused. So you want to point over here for Harry. He wanted the horse stop. He want horse stop. Okay? Again, mom, dad, the two of them, listening. Harry, he said, whoa. Means what? Like, you really have to act out. Face was like, whoa. Why? That's that hand. I'm touching these three fingers to my head and pulling down. Why? Can't really see. You're trying to change for the camera. Why? He, pointing in the same direction. Horse to stop. Now, you notice that as we're doing this book, I'm setting people up in space. This is one of the key features of ASL when you're telling a story or when you're just talking about day-to-day stuff. When you're talking about someone who's not present, you have to establish where they are. And deaf kids who are first learning this are funny because you point over there, you say, Joshua, say he's not in the room, they'll all look over there. Even if you're pointing to the sink, they all instinctively look to where you're pointing until they understand that that is a way of referencing the third person in ASL, pointing to the side. Once you've established that's where that person is, that's where they stay. And you have to make sure that they stay there. As long as they stay there in this imaginary space that you've set up, you can keep pointing to that same space, and the kids, as they become more fluent, will understand that you're using that as a pronoun, he. If it's Harry who's there, whenever I point there, it's going to be he. And if I point over here, now we have set up mom and dad, he's going to know that means they or them. So that's some good information to work for. Let's do one more page here for this lesson, and that'll be it for today. The book says, but they did not see a horse in Harry's room. This is a pretty easy one. This is that rhetorical one. No, it's actually not set up as a rhetorical, but it's similar. We're going to negate something. ASL does this a lot. They'll say a phrase, and then they negate the whole thing at once with a sign at the very end. Whereas in English, we'll tend to say not, or don't, or won't up front. ASL will often say it opposite and then negate it at the end. So this says, they did not see a horse in Harry's room. So I'm going to almost make it a question. I'm going to say, mom, dad, we set up them over here on this side, right? Did they see a horse in his, Harry's over here now, right? In his room? Not. Okay. Mom, dad, the two of them, did they see a horse? See, I'm switching back to my primary language, English. But, I mean, it's okay. Some of this will follow a little bit. I wish I could do it in a more pure form of ASL for you, but since I'm not a native signer of American Sign Language, there's going to be problems. Mom, dad, the two of them, did they see a horse in his room? You see my eyebrows right now? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You have to kind of, the more you exaggerate, the better. I'm getting old and kind of lazy and tired, so I don't do as much facial expression as I used to, but let the eyebrows drop, okay? Did they see a horse in his, we can say his now because Harry's right there, room? Not. Thumb right into the chin, pull it out. Not. Okay? So perfect. I think this is a good length for YouTube. Have fun practicing, and I'll get a new one up for you guys soon.